This weak, ugly Losar never imagined that the biggest downfall of his life would begin at the edge of a cliff. He thought that after this one jump, his worthless life would meet a magnificent end. But little did he know that this leap would mark the start of the greatest adventure of his life. When he fell, he found himself face to face with a place he had only heard of in legends, the World Tree. Every leaf of this tree held life-giving power, and even a single drop of water falling from it was equivalent to an S-rank healing potion, capable of instantly curing any wound. But the most astonishing part was that the World Tree itself took the form of a girl who looked like an elf. Not only did this girl save Orphan's life repeatedly, but she also promised to teach him rare martial arts. For the first time, Orphan felt as if all the pain and suffering he had endured until now had led him to this moment. Everything suddenly seemed worth it. The story begins with Orphan, who holds the lowest rank profession, appraiser. In this world, a person's career and status are determined by their profession, and an appraiser's standing is so low that their value is less than a free plastic bag. People don't even glance at him, and his poverty is so severe that he struggles to find food. Orphan stayed with the Adventure Guild only because he could scavenge useful items from what others discarded, but even the slightest mistake would earn him curses and insults. Yet Orphan had grown accustomed to it all, for in this world the Light Goddess grants professions, while the Dark Goddess bestows skills. People like Orphan, with no combat abilities, are at the very bottom, utterly worthless. Most inherit their professions from their parents, so Orphan too became a pitiful adventurer. He barely managed to join a three-member party consisting of a swordsman and a mage, both high-ranking professions. He was only allowed in as a servant, tasked with carrying corpses, collecting monster parts, and other menial work. Still, Orphan endured in silence, believing that even the lowest-ranked adventurer was better than a worthless life. But that illusion was shattered one day. During a dungeon expedition, things started smoothly. The swordsman held off a giant rat while the mage prepared a fireball. The hunt succeeded, and Orphan was left to clean up. As he tried to extract the monster's teeth, they got stuck. When he asked the swordsman for help, he was struck, and the corpse was thrown on top of him. As he stood up, another kick sent him flying 2 meters away. Orphan bore it all, knowing that reacting would cost him his life, but he had no idea his fate was about to change. Inside the dungeon, they found the corpses of hellhounds, B-rank monsters that shouldn't appear on the surface floor. Orphan grew fearful, sensing something was wrong. According to the map, there should have been only one path, but now a new, unexplored route had opened before them. His teammates were excited. Hellhound parts were highly valuable. Orphan warned them to turn back, but they mocked him. When more hellhound bodies appeared, they decided to press onward, but on one condition. Orphan had to carry all the loot, or he'd be kicked out of the team. Forced into compliance, Orphan followed. Not far in, they encountered an entire pack of hellhounds. It became clear that the earlier corpses were from the monsters infighting, not other adventurers. Now, the monster's fury was directed at the trio. The mage panicked, unable to handle even one monster, and fled immediately. Then came the horrifying moment. The swordsman and mage immobilized Orphan with paralytic magic, leaving him as bait so they could escape. Orphan watched helplessly as they turned their backs and ran. The moment the monsters attacked, the pain broke his paralysis. He grabbed a rock, trying to fend them off, throwing away all his food and loot to buy time. But the exit path had been magically blocked by his former teammates. Only one option remained, a dark, unknown path. It led to a bottomless cliff, monsters ahead, blockage behind. Orphan found himself standing at the cliff's edge. His entire worthless life flashed before his eyes. If his parents hadn't died, if his profession had been different, if he hadn't joined this wretched team, would his life have been better? But there are no ifs in this world. In life, there are only two choices, fight or die. He took a deep breath and, deciding to die gracefully, jumped off the cliff. Yet, when his eyes opened, he realized he was alive. A mystical light surrounded him, healing all his wounds. Before him stood a mountain-sized tree. Using his appraisal skill, he identified it as the World Tree, a legendary entity described only in myths. According to legends, the World Tree was the source of humanity's magic, but it had withered years ago. Some scholars believed another World Tree existed, and now Orphan had seen it with his own eyes. He wondered why no one else had found it, until he realized the tree was hidden in the deepest layer of the maze. Orphan thanked the World Tree, but worried he wouldn't survive long without food. As he searched for an exit, he remained unaware of a hidden girl who had been watching him since his fall. Just as she thought he might finally leave, something terrifying happened. His ear was cut off. The next moment, 2 of his fingers vanished. Screaming in pain, he grabbed his sword handle and pulled, only to lose his senses at the sight before him. An S-rank little goblin monkey stood there. She instantly knew this was her death sentence. The monkey's attack power was low, but its speed and cruel playstyle made it deadly. It toyed with its prey, torturing them slowly. In moments, Orphan, now missing an ear and fingers, was covered in wounds. For the first time, he felt utterly helpless. His appraisal skill revealed the monster's system, but he lacked the strength to fight back. As the monster's scythe was about to pierce his body, something unexpected happened. No pain came. Orphan opened his eyes to see the monkey dead in a single strike. Worse, an S-rank magic bear appeared. Its simple paw strike strike left deep gashes on Orphan's face. Orphan, having lost too much blood, passed out. When he awoke, all his wounds had miraculously healed, and his missing eye had been replaced in a new form. He realized this was the World Tree's doing. Then a beautiful girl resembling an elf from a fairy tale emerged. She was the spirit of the World Tree. Back when Orphan had thanked her with a single line, he had unknowingly won her heart. He was the first human to sincerely thank this ancient entity. That one emotion changed everything. The girl had sent her protector, the sage, to save him. Orphan's eye damage couldn't be healed by the World Tree's water droplets, so the sage crafted a spirit eye from the tree's essence. In truth, if the sage's daughter Yuri hadn't emotionally pleaded, he would never have bothered with such a worthless task. This world had 9 world trees, each guarded by a sage, the most powerful beings alive. Yuri and the sage shared a mother-daughter bond. Naturally, the sage disliked Orphan, assuming he was a womanizer. After saving him, he said, "Now get out." But Yuri's heart remained soft. She wanted him properly trained for his safety, so she begged her mother to teach him. The sage began teaching Orphan to use the spirit eye. The first step was night vision. Where darkness once hid everything, the path now shone like daylight. The first training exercise was dodging attacks from an S-rank little goblin emperor. The task seemed simple: avoid its strikes. Orphan asked, "Appraisal only shows info. How will this help me fight?" The sage replied, "Try seeing with the spirit eye." When Orphan did, he could predict the goblin's movements. An attack would land on his left leg in 5 seconds. He counted and dodged perfectly. Excited, he looked at the sage, but the next moment the goblin struck from behind, slamming him to the ground. Pain taught him, prediction isn't enough. This skill must become as natural as breathing. After countless falls and near-death experiences, Orphan mastered dodging the goblin emperor's attacks. But the sage wasn't satisfied. The next task? Hit it back with this wooden sword. The sword was carved from a branch of the World Tree. Yuri had broken it off herself. "Break it, and you break with it," the sage warned. Orphan thought, just block and counter, but reality was brutal. The goblin's speed was overwhelming. His sword couldn't even reach it. The sage hinted, "The spirit eye isn't just for defense. Use it for offense too." Then Orphan understood. He could predict attack trajectories too. As he visualized, the goblin's movements slowed. Every motion became crystal clear. With perfect prediction, a single strike from the wooden sword sent the goblin flying. Orphan realized that when he saw the future, he was witnessing a super-fast creature's movements colliding with a stone wall. Inertia and reaction force worked in his favor. The next training level intensified. The sage said, "Now copy the Goblin Emperor's extreme speed skill." Orphan was stunned. His spirit eye had a hidden ability, skill copying. The game was about to change. Using appraisal on the skill flooded his mind with information. The process was painful, but once adapted, he began running at lightning speed. But each use tore his muscles, fracturing his entire body. The sage coldly instructed, "Run. When your muscles break, heal with World Tree drops. Repeat, break, heal, break, heal." Gradually, his body adapted. What was once a curse now reinforced his muscles. Eventually, he mastered extreme speed. But the sage wasn't done. The next challenge, Orphan had to use appraisal on her. He saw her innate skill, chantless casting, magic without incantations. He immediately copied it. For testing, the sage used her strongest fireball spell. Orphan became a human torch, burning, reviving with World Tree drops. This 5-day non-stop hell training drained his mana reserves. Then he learned the drops also restored and increased mana capacity, but only when fully drained. Early training was inefficient, but after half a month of hardcore grinding, Orphan could cast 1,000 fireballs in one breath. He mastered ultimate wind magic too. With each spell, his combat ability soared. Next, the sage took him back to the labyrinth. Their target, the king bear, the same one that had nearly killed him. But Orphan had changed. This fight would bury his weak past. He launched fireballs, not direct hits, but enough to block the bear's vision. Using extreme speed, he teleported behind it and at the perfect moment triggered bullet time to deliver a brutal wind magic strike. But the damage was minimal. He wasn't a magic class yet, so he changed tactics. A rain of fireballs. A mere 100 were his warm-up, but it was enough. The king bear fell. This was the same Orphan who once scraped by as an appraiser. Now, blessed by the World Tree, he was a monster-slaying machine. By his side was his spirit wife, Yuli, the World Tree's avatar, a walking healing fountain. She offered instant recovery, teleportation, and magical guidance. The World Tree's guardians grew concerned. What if something happened to Yuli? They gave Orphan a philosopher's stone, linking Yuli directly to his mind. Now, they shared vision. Another gift, the spirit sword, forged from the World Tree's material. The moment Orphan reached for it, an attack took his real eye. Yuli shoved the philosopher's stone into his mouth. The eye was replaced. A magical vision interface now allowed Yuli to teleport and save him anytime. He also received an infinite storage crest, a spatial pocket, like a grocery bag inside the maze. It felt like a survival kit from a mother. Yuli had her own goal, to collect World Tree cores hidden in labyrinths and reunite with her 8 lost sisters. Orphan thought, a quest for my wife plus OP skill farming equal jackpot. With Yuli and his mother-in-law's remote vision, Orphan's set off. Labyrinths were no longer dungeons, but leveling grounds. The bottom floors held puzzles and deadly traps, but the sage had pre-installed a GPS in his mind. Enemy appraisals came pre-loaded. He sliced through an S-rank snake monster effortlessly. Another upgrade. All status resistance plus universal dissolve skills. Data overload headaches? Yuli healed them instantly. Entering the next boss room, he faced the dungeon's ultimate guardian, a stone golem. One punch shattered both his legs. Yuli healed him immediately. The sage gave battle instructions. Activating Yuli in his spirit eye, Orphan focused on low hits. When the golem's heavy punch came, he blocked with armament shield and countered. He dealt damage, but the golem entered rage mode. Orphan couldn't even get close. Then the sage said, "Now use your ultimate." One chance remained before mana drain. Yuli assisted, doubling his combat power with 4 copied F-rank skills. The final drop was the labyrinth box, the treasure the sage used to upgrade his spirit eye. Each boss kill granted a new box, unlocking OP features like damage reflection and enemy movement prediction. Orphan's power grew exponentially. Features like damage reflection and enemy movement prediction activated seamlessly. Watching this progression, even the seasoned sage was stunned, remarking, "At this rate, his eyes will soon evolve into true divine eyes." But no adventure is without hurdles. After obtaining the maze's central core and exiting its main chamber, the entire area, where Orphan had once fallen, sealed permanently. While this was a relief no one could exploit the world tree now, it also marked the end of an era. The trio left without looking back. Meanwhile, the swordsman who'd betrayed Orphan, abandoning him as bait, spun lies to cover his crime. Orphan sacrificed himself to save us. The guild believed him, assuming Orphan was dead, until he returned. Orphan strode into town not as a victim, but as an invincible warrior. The truth unraveled instantly. Townsfolk, hungry for justice, lunged at the swordsman, but Orphan stopped them. For him, the pain was already buried. Without that betrayal, he mused, I'd never have discovered the maze, or this power. His mission now? Find the remaining world tree cores. His next conquest unlocked his spirit eye's level 3 evolution, granting him the ability to decipher ancient scripts. But the second core's location yielded no world tree. As he departed, monsters attacked a passing caravan. Orphan obliterated them mid-step. When he checked for survivors, a girl's gaze locked onto him. "Long live the hero!" she cried. She was the kingdom's 3rd princess. Beside her stood Jasper, leader of the merchant guild. The princess dragged Orphan to the palace, declaring her intent. "Marry me!" His elf wife Yuli bristled. "I'm his wife." When pressed for proof, Yuli faltered, fabricating a lie. Undeterred, the princess shrugged. "Multiple wives are allowed. I'll be the second." As the argument escalated, Jasper intervened, pulling Orphan aside. Her obsession? Rare gems. She'd collected every type, except the world tree's spirit gem. Staring into Orphan's eye, she gasped, "There it is!" Her proposal was simple. Marry her to forever admire her reflection in his gem. Orphan hesitated until the sage whispered her resources could help find the other trees. Reluctantly, he agreed. "No marriage yet. Let's start as friends." Jasper, thrilled, promised information in return. Soon, Orphan learned the staggering truth. 9 world trees existed, each with a female spirit. All were trapped in labyrinths until he'd found them. Now, their spirits resided within him. Dungeons became playgrounds. His eyes detected traps, illusions, and enemies instantly. Any skill he identified, he could steal. Attack reflection, prediction, trap sensing, his arsenal overflowed with OP abilities. Jasper's clues led him to the second world tree's maze, but upon entering, an illusion field ensnared him. The sage's voice cut through. "The walls are laced with transfer magic." Only the second spirit, Pina, could craft such illusions. Pina, distrustful, challenged Orphan. "Beat my maze, then approach the tree." He accepted. Her deadly traps? Useless. The first, near fatal, was dodged effortlessly thanks to the sage's guidance. The second, sleep pollen, failed. Orphan had immunity, stolen from a monster. Frustrated, Pina summoned plants and minions. Orphan sliced through them. A surprise rock attack? No effect. Stone Giant's immunity skills, ambush immunity, immovable fortress, protected him. Then he unveiled a new skill. Palm raised, gravity commanded. Monsters flattened instantly. Pina, the dungeon's creator, was stunned. This was an S-rank labyrinth. How? Her strongest monsters, a dwarf beast and giant spider, fell like training dummies. Each kill gifted Orphan new skills. By the end, Pina's mind short-circuited. He's treating S ranks as EXP fodder. Meanwhile, Zoid, a disgraced warrior who'd betrayed his own team, stumbled into the maze. After countless respawns, the dungeon's curse, "You can't die here," he faced a monster, his shoulder nearly torn off. As death loomed, a divine arrow pierced the beast. Zoid turned. Orphan stood there. "The loser I once mocked saved me?" Zoid's gratitude died in his throat. Orphan healed him silently with divine water, then knocked him out, ejecting him from the maze. Orphan faced Pina's final test, the buff room. The floor trembled. He flew midair. Appraisal revealed the truth. The entire floor is the enemy. A giant turtle-like monster emerged. Spells bounced off. An illusion, Orphan realized. He let the turtle's attack hit, standing still as it struck. The illusion shattered, revealing the truth. A tiny creature, Xuanwu, one of the 4 divine beasts. Refusing to kill it, Orphan asked, "Did I pass?" Pina, defeated, nodded. When they met, she hugged him tearfully. "I'm leaving this maze with you." Orphan didn't refuse. Free